They say money and love are two of the most powerful forces in the world. For most people, keeping those two things balanced is already hard enough. But imagine earning tens of millions across a professional career, only to watch it all disappear. Not because of one bad investment, but because of the women in your life.
We ended up divorced 41 days later. We ended up in a physical altercation.
That is exactly what happened to several NBA players who had everything and lost it all. And the part that still shocks people, most of them never saw it coming. Kenny Anderson was supposed to be the next Magic Johnson. That was not just fan talk. Scouts were calling his house when he was in 6th grade. Born in Queens, New York, Anderson shattered the all-time New York State high school scoring record with 2,621 points at Archbishop Molloy High School. He was named All-City 4 times, a feat not accomplished since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and was ranked above Shaquille O'Neal in his recruiting class. Georgia Tech landed him, and Anderson helped lead the Yellow Jackets to the Final Four in 1990, alongside Dennis Scott and Brian Oliver, the trio known as Lethal Weapon 3. After 2 seasons, he entered the NBA draft. In 1991, the New Jersey Nets selected Anderson with the 2nd overall pick. He was just 20 years old, carrying enormous expectations for a struggling franchise. But by his 3rd season, he was delivering on the promise. Career highs of 18.8 points and 9.6 assists per game, a 45-point performance against the Detroit Pistons, and a spot at the 1994 NBA All-Star Game alongside teammate Derek Coleman. He would later play for the Charlotte Hornets, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Boston Celtics, the Seattle Supersonics, the New Orleans Hornets, the Indiana Pacers, the Atlanta Hawks, and the Los Angeles Clippers before finishing his career overseas in Lithuania. By the end, he had played professionally for 15 years and earned an estimated $63 million. Off the court, though, a very different story was forming. Anderson fathered 7 children with 5 different women across multiple overlapping relationships and was married 3 times. His first marriage to Tammy Roman, later known from the reality series Basketball Wives, ended in 2001 after she cited infidelity. The divorce settlement required Anderson to pay $8,500 per month in child support for their 2 daughters and give Roman half of his assets at the time of the split. She had challenged their prenuptial agreement in court and won. When Anderson stopped making those payments in 2005, the debt piled up fast. By the time Roman filed her lawsuit, he owed close to $800,000. She reportedly sold her Cartier watch just to keep their daughters enrolled in school. Anderson, meanwhile, was playing in Lithuania, earning somewhere between $750,000 and $1 million and sending nothing home. His own bankruptcy court documents showed he was spending $41,000 on himself monthly while his children went without. Roman was not the only one waiting. His bankruptcy paperwork listed unpaid child support to multiple women, $23,000 owed to one mother and at least $20,000 to another. In 2005, despite earning an estimated $63 million during his career, Anderson filed for bankruptcy. The legal battle with Roman stretched nearly 9 years before settling in 2012, with Anderson paying close to the full amount through his NBA retirement fund. "I thought the money would last, and I didn't know how to say no," he later told Forbes. 3 marriages, 7 children across 5 women, and a lifestyle that outpaced every financial obligation. It all came together to erase the fortune of one of the most gifted point guards of his generation. Anderson's story is a sharp reminder of how fast personal decisions can overtake even the biggest NBA paycheck. But not every financial wreck in this conversation looks like courtrooms and missed child support. Sometimes just one relationship is enough to quietly kill a career before it ever reaches its potential and cost a player everything he was supposed to earn. That is exactly what Rashad McCants believes happened to him. McCants entered the NBA in 2005 as the 14th overall pick, riding the wave of a national championship at North Carolina. He was a scorer, confident, quick, and dangerous enough to lead the ACC with 20 points per game during his sophomore season. The Minnesota Timberwolves drafted him, and by the 2007-08 season, he had posted a career-high 34 points in a single game and pushed his way into the starting lineup. Things were looking up for the first time in a while. Then came the relationship he would later call the biggest regret of his career. In June 2008, McCants began dating Khloe Kardashian. They were together for about 7 months. months. For McCants, a player still fighting for his spot on a small market team, the media attention that came with that relationship was immediate and overwhelming. He was not a superstar, and in the NBA culture of that era, being publicly linked to a celebrity while playing in Minnesota was seen as a distraction, not a benefit. He was traded to the Sacramento Kings that same season. He signed with the Houston Rockets in September 2009, but the contract was pulled after just one day of training camp. He signed with the Dallas Mavericks in October 2010 and was released within days. His NBA career was effectively finished. He went on to play in leagues in France, China, Brazil, Lebanon, Venezuela, and the Philippines, never returning to the association. In 2017, McCants sat down with the Charlotte Observer and put his frustration on the record. The relationship had given teams a reason to doubt his commitment. Without that situation in play, I'm at $60–70 million, he said, easily. In an interview with Basketball Network, he explained the unwritten culture of that era in the league. Today's NBA encourages players to build brands and public profiles regardless of what city they play in. Back then, only the biggest established stars had that freedom without it being used against them. A role player on a small market team was expected to keep his head down. For me, not being a high-profile guy and being in Minnesota, it was more of a distraction than a compliment, McCants said. I was one of the early bloomers for all of those things, and it didn't help my situation. Critics pushed back hard. McCants shot just 35% from the field in his second NBA season. His career average of 9.9 points per game over 4 seasons was considered by many analysts to be his ceiling, not the result of any off-court distraction. The relationship, they argued, had nothing to do with his production. Still, beyond the career debate, there was also real money lost separately. McCants was defrauded by scam artist Peggy Ann Fulford, losing $200,000 as part of a wider scheme that drained nearly $5.79 million from multiple athletes, including Dennis Rodman and Ricky Williams. Fulford was sentenced to 10 years in prison in 2018. McCants believed a 7-month relationship cost him a future worth $60–70 million. Whether that is entirely accurate is still up for debate, but his NBA story ended far earlier and far quieter than he ever intended. McCants at least exited that chapter without losing everything he had already earned. The same cannot be said for Latrell Sprewell. Here was a man who earned close to $100 million in the NBA and ended up with an estimated net worth of just $150,000. His story involves a famous moment of pure rage, a contract offer he should never have turned down, and the financial weight of a long-term relationship he never legally formalized until a lawsuit forced the whole thing into open court. Sprewell was selected 24th overall by the Golden State Warriors in the 1992 NBA draft and quickly became one of the most electric players in the league, a 4-time All-Star, a first-team All-NBA selection in 1994, one of the highest scorers of his era. Over 13 seasons with the Warriors, the New York Knicks, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, he earned approximately $97 million. That is generational wealth by any reasonable measure. Then December 1997 happened. During a Warriors practice, coach PJ Carlesimo asked Sprewell to put a little mustard on a pass. Sprewell snapped, grabbed Carlesimo by the throat, and choked him for nearly 10 seconds before teammates pulled him off. He left, came back 20 minutes later, and attacked the coach a second time. The Warriors voided the remaining $24 million on his contract. The NBA handed him a 68-game suspension without pay, the longest in league history at that point. Though arbitration prevented the full voiding of the contract, he still lost an enormous amount of money from one moment of uncontrolled anger. Sprewell rebuilt his name with the New York Knicks, helping lead an 8th-seeded team all the way to the 1999 NBA Finals, one of the most remarkable playoff runs the league had ever seen. He was rewarded with a 5-year, $62 million extension the following season. With Minnesota in 2003-04, he teamed with Kevin Garnett and Sam Cassell as one of the highest-scoring trios in the league, helping the Timberwolves reach the Western Conference Finals. At the end of that season, Minnesota offered him a 3-year, $21 million extension. He was already earning $14.6 million per year. He turned it down, saying publicly he had a family to feed. He never played in the NBA again. Then the personal life came apart publicly. In January 2007, his longtime companion Candace Cabell, the mother of 4 of his children, filed a $200 million lawsuit against him. She claimed that when she became pregnant with their first child in 1994, Sprewell had promised to share his life and fortune with her, and that he had broken that agreement by cutting her off financially and allegedly assaulting assaulting her. Despite being together for years and raising 4 children together, they had never married, leaving Cabell with no legal protection from the arrangement falling apart. That same year, Spruell's 70-foot yacht was seized by a federal marshal and sold at auction for just $856,000, well below its $1.5 million value, leaving him still owing nearly $500,000 on the remaining debt. His Milwaukee home went into foreclosure shortly after. A Westchester County mansion followed. By 2011, he owed the state of Wisconsin $3.5 million in unpaid taxes, nearly $100 million in career earnings reduced to almost nothing. The choking incident, the refused extension, the lawsuit from the woman who had been at his side for over a decade, and years of unchecked spending all did their damage. Latrell Sprewell's collapse is as complete as any in NBA history. Spruell could at least point to a combination of his own choices and financial mismanagement as the cause. Dennis Rodman's situation had all of that, and then some. By 2012, Rodman's own attorneys were calling him broke and extremely sick in court documents, unable to cover his own living expenses, let alone the hundreds of thousands he owed his ex-wife in child support. For someone with 5 NBA championship rings and a Hall of Fame plaque, it was a devastating picture. Rodman was drafted 27th overall by the Detroit Pistons in 1986 and built one of the most unique and celebrated careers in basketball history. 2 titles with the Pistons, 3 more with the Chicago Bulls, 7 consecutive rebounding crowns, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, Hall of Fame induction in 2011, named to the NBA 75th anniversary team in 2021. Every measure of on-court greatness, the man had it. Off the court, it was a different story entirely. He dated Madonna in 1994. In November 1998, he married actress and model Carmen Electra in Las Vegas, then filed for annulment just 9 days later, claiming he had been of unsound mind at the ceremony. Electra filed for divorce the following year, but the relationship that caused the most lasting financial damage was his 3rd marriage, to Michelle Moyer. Rodman and Moyer married in 2003. She filed for divorce in 2004, but attempts at reconciliation dragged the process out for years. The marriage was not officially dissolved until 2012. During that extended period, the court set his child support obligation at one point as high as $50,000 per month, a figure calibrated to what he earned as an active player, not the income of a retired man trying to piece together overseas appearances and paid public events. By March 2012, Rodman was $808,935 behind on child support for their 2 children, Dennis Jr. and Trinity. He also owed $51,440 in back spousal support. His attorneys, working for free because he could not pay them, filed documents describing him as broke. His 2010 tax return showed income of roughly $150,000 for the entire year. His financial manager confirmed to ABC News that Rodman's well-documented struggle with alcohol had seriously damaged his public image and made it nearly impossible to land corporate endorsements. In May 2012, Rodman was sentenced to 104 hours of community service after being found guilty of 4 counts of contempt for failing to pay child support during 2009 and 2010. By December that year, both sides agreed to a $500,000 settlement, down from the $850,000 his ex-wife's legal team had originally argued he owed. There was one more hit that Rodman never anticipated. Peggy Ann Fulford, the same scam artist who had targeted Rashad McCants, stole $1.24 million from Rodman. He had believed the money was being sent out as child support payments to his first wife. When Fulford was indicted by the FBI in 2016 and sentenced to 10 years in prison in 2018, the damage was years old. Dennis Rodman had more than enough during his playing career to live comfortably for the rest of his life. A drinking problem that followed him for decades, multiple failed relationships, an unmanageable support structure, and millions lost to fraud all came together to leave one of basketball's all-time defenders without a defense when it counted most. Rodman's story is hard to watch, but there is something even more quietly painful about the fact that a teammate of his from those same Bulls championship runs went through a nearly identical collapse, and almost nobody ever brings it up. That teammate is Jason Caffey. Caffey was drafted 20th overall by the Chicago Bulls in 1995 and played alongside Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman, winning back-to-back NBA championships in 1996 and 1997. He averaged 7.3 points per game during that second title run and started 5 playoff games. Traded to the Golden State Warriors in February 1998, he eventually signed a 7-year, $35 million contract with them and had his best statistical season in 1999 to 2000 2000, averaging career highs of 12 points and 6.8 rebounds per game in 56 games started. After 3 seasons with the Milwaukee Bucks, he retired in 2003, having earned an estimated $34 million across 8 NBA seasons. That was more than enough money to set up a comfortable life. It was gone faster than almost anyone could believe. Cafe fathered 10 children with 8 different women. The child support obligations across all of those relationships were impossible to keep up with. He fell behind. Courts issued arrest warrants. He spent time in jail for failing to pay. An Atlanta judge issued an arrest warrant specifically because Cafe failed to comply with a court order requiring him to pay more than $200,000 in child support and legal fees to one woman alone. His total debts exceeded $1.9 million, while his assets stood at only $1.15 million. In 2007, Cafe filed for bankruptcy. In later years, he opened up about what had actually driven those choices. He grew up in Mobile, Alabama, without enough stability or guidance, and he carried unhealthy patterns around women into the NBA long before the money arrived. When I got to the league, all that money gave me a false sense of power. I wanted my destiny to be love, and I equated that with a lot of children, he said in 2019. What made the financial collapse even harder to escape was that he was battling undiagnosed depression and anxiety throughout his entire career. A panic attack during a game with the Milwaukee Bucks in 2002 eventually led to the team buying out the remaining 2 years of his contract, removing future income at the exact moment when his personal obligations were already becoming overwhelming. Cafe chose to get help. He went to counseling, spent 45 days in treatment, and worked to understand the choices that had brought him to that point. He co-wrote a book called Richard and the Boys: The Puberty Experience with Nadine Pierre-Louis, aimed at helping young men navigate relationships and responsibility. He returned to Alabama State University to finish the degree he had walked away from in 1995, with plans to graduate in December 2024. It's no secret I went through a major downfall. Some decisions I made in life after my basketball career, Cafe said in 2020. But the teachings I learned from Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, they're the reason I'm still alive today, and I'm still able to provide for myself. 2 championship rings, $34 million in career earnings, all of it erased by choices made off the court. Jason Cafe's story is a warning, but it is also, eventually, one of someone who chose to stand back up. Cafe's collapse was loud and public: arrest warrants, jail time, bankruptcy filings. Eddie Curry's version played out a little differently, but the end result was just as complete. Curry was a 7-foot center who came straight out of high school in Illinois, selected 4th overall in the 2001 NBA draft by the Chicago Bulls. Before he ever played a professional game, people were already calling him Baby Shaq. Over 11 seasons, with the Bulls, the New York Knicks, the Miami Heat, and the Dallas Mavericks, Curry earned approximately $70 million. His estimated net worth today sits at around $3 million. The overspending was real and well documented. He kept a $17,000 a month rental home in suburban New York, paid $6,000 per month for a personal chef, and bought roughly a dozen cars for himself and members of his family. He took out a $570,000 personal loan in February 2008 from a Nevada company called All-Star Capital at an annual interest rate of nearly 85%, legal in Nevada, where there are no usury laws. He did not pay it back. By 2010, a Manhattan court ordered him to pay $75,000 per month to resolve a debt that had ballooned to $1.2 million. 3 of his cars were seized in the process, including a Rolls-Royce Phantom convertible and 2 Land Rover SUVs. But the most financially damaging blow Curry took came directly from a relationship, specifically his first marriage to childhood sweetheart Corey Kellogg. Curry had married Kellogg before the NBA, when she became pregnant with his first son during his senior year of high school. There was no prenuptial agreement. Shortly after he was drafted, she filed for divorce. The process dragged on for roughly 4 years and drained significant money during what should have been his most financially stable years. Then came the decision that cost him twice. Curry believed he and his ex-wife had an informal arrangement, that he would pay child support directly to her rather than processing it through the state of Illinois. He sent her over $1 million in total, with documented cashier's checks and bank records to support it. But when he was served with papers for back child support, the judge ruled that all of that money was a gift because the payments were never routed started through the proper legal channel. The court determined he had paid nothing. He was ordered to pay his child support again from scratch. "I'm getting served with papers for back child support, and I had been giving her money the whole time," Curry later said on Vlad TV. "They're like, nah, that was a gift. You didn't give it to the state of Illinois. That was a gift." I'm like, are you serious? The court was completely serious. That ruling hit Curry on top of every other debt he was already carrying. He later described the marriage, entered into without a prenuptial agreement while still in high school, as the most embarrassing mistake of his life. He trusted a childhood sweetheart, to be fair. That trust cost him enormously. Curry has since spoken about a broader habit that made everything worse: giving money freely to anyone who asked. Friends, family, anyone who called with a problem he felt he could solve. "I couldn't say no," he said. "I could not listen to somebody crying on the phone, telling me something was wrong, and just know this money could help them." When that habit runs to 15 different people at once, $70 million disappears faster than anyone could imagine. A career that never reached its ceiling. Decisions rooted in the people he loved the most. That was Eddie Curry's story. Which NBA player's story surprised you the most? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Hoops Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.